That Was Yesterday podcast is brought to you by Define Mind and Body Wellness, my wellness center here in Glastonbury, Connecticut, where we specialize in holistic services to help shortcut the process so that you can see results fast, but learn to do it in a habitual way. So many of the topics we talk about are part of the program that our clients receive, except they get much more in-depth detail. Also, my workbook of the 10-week program to lose and never look back, which is only available to our patients at Define. If you are interested in holistic body fat spot reduction, or our pod to increase your metabolism, or our cold plunge, or our sauna, which is the best sauna in the world, that I promise you. I know that sounds biased, but you'll see for yourself. Please go to definewellnesscenter.com. You will be prompted to put your information in and make sure to mention podcast when you do, as you will be eligible for a bigger discount on our introductory services because you are a listener. Appreciate you. Have a great day and enjoy today's podcast. Welcome back to another episode of That Was Yesterday podcast. I am your host, Joe Carabase, and today we are talking about a topic we all deal with, but we make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. And that is what to do when you overeat. And obviously, like perfect world, don't overeat. Obviously, like you know that. We all know that. But it happens, right? It happens because of holidays. It happens sometimes when we indulge too much. Perhaps, you obviously, if you're having some drinks, you might eat more than you want to eat. Maybe it's unexpected and it just sort of happens. Regardless, it's a part of life. And therefore, it's something that you need to learn to deal with and not beat yourself up over. Because at the end of the day, it literally doesn't matter when you overeat. What matters is what you do after you overeat. And so today, we're going to go over 5 tips that you can easily apply so that whenever you overeat, you have a plan in place to minimize the damage and to start feeling better about yourself as soon as possible, because that's the most important thing. And whenever you overeat, the event, the thing happened, there's nothing you can do after that. It happened, right? That is what I would refer to as pain. Right? We did the thing, we dealt with the direct consequence of it. There's always going to be pain as a consequence for things, right? That happen. That's just going to happen. However, the suffering is what we have control over. The suffering is what happens after the event, after we deal with the pain. It's how we treat ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, and what actions we do or don't do to sort of get ourselves out of the hole, so to speak. So for every action, there's a reaction, right? So there's going to be pain when things, you're going to feel something when things kind of, and that's a good thing, by the way, right? Like if your body felt completely normal and your mind and spirit felt completely okay after overeating, like that wouldn't be a good thing, would it? Like imagine that. Like imagine your body had no consequence, right? And you actually enjoyed overeating, right? I know that sounds like kind of crazy and silly, but imagine if that was the case. You wouldn't be too healthy. Your organs would be run down, and likely you'd have some health issues if you just overate all the time and you felt good about it. So the fact that we actually don't feel good from overeating is a good thing, But what's not a good thing is beating ourselves up over it and acting as if it's this bigger event than it needs to be. And so today we're going to pop in 5 quick tips you can apply. Let's get into it. All right. Tip number 1, get over it. Oh, well, it happened. The world is going to move on. Literally, nature does not give a crap that you overate. And so don't prop it on a pedestal. Remember, anytime we prop a mistake or an issue on a pedestal, or a person on a pedestal for that matter, we automatically minimize ourselves. So to the extent you think about the event of overeating, you're just going to feel worse about yourself. So rather than focus on that, focus on what you can do instead, which we are going to get into today. There's going to be 4 other tips you can easily apply. These other tips are way more tactical, but this is the most important one, I would say, because self-sabotage loves shame. It loves to make you feel bad about feeling bad. Like that is self-sabotage's number 1 tactic, meaning you're doing well, or you have the intention to do well, then you overate, And then shame kicks in, you feel bad about yourself, prevents you from doing the things that you know to do that are going to be healthy for you and that are good for you. So the longer the time goes between you taking productive action and not, obviously the harder it gets to ever take that action, right? And that's that proverbial circle, sort of the circle of consequences, I oftentimes call it, where one thing blends into another thing. Something happens, you don't feel well. And because you don't feel well, you don't do anything about it. And because you don't do anything about it, you feel worse, and so on and so forth. And so we have to break that cycle immediately, first and foremost, because shame is one of the worst things. Shame and guilt is one of the worst things we can put on ourselves. It's completely unnecessary, right? We want to move more towards neutrality, to willingness to accept what happened and move forward. So just cut the shit. Give yourself a break, will you? You're human, as like everybody else. We're all imperfect. It's okay. Happens. Get over it. All right. Number 2, this is huge. So when you have extra calories in your system, like, I like to say this over and over because I don't want to give any sort of false expectation. But when I share these tips, I am not on some soapbox as if I have everything perfect and dialed in, right? These are either things that I've worked on myself, I am working on myself, and or I have helped hundreds, more likely thousands of people navigate through their own journey. So right alongside with them. So I'm with you here. All right. And let me tell you, there was in the past, I would have that guilt and that shame, but now I actually look forward to it. You want to know why? Because tip number 2, your workouts are super powered when you have extra calories in you. And yes, of course, you might not feel like, and I'm not saying like you overeat and then you immediately work out. That would be another tip of what to do immediately after overeating. And I'll get to that later. But what I am saying is if you overate last night for dinner, well, first thing in the morning, get your ass up and work out. I don't care how much you don't want to work out. You can do it. You can set an alarm. You can get up. You're capable of doing that. Do it. Just do it. Just set 5 alarms until you get up. Just do it. Focus on getting the first set in. You get the first set in, then it bleeds into the next set. Don't think about doing some crazy, intense, super duper workout. Just think about getting into a workout. And then when you get into a workout, you start moving, your body's going to start to utilize the calories. And you'll find that you'll have more resources available, more energy available to expend on your workouts as you move forward. So while I don't want you to head into the workout thinking like it has to be this super intense thing, because that's going to prevent you from ever working out. That's, by the way, a self-sabotage tactic as well. To tell yourself, hey, this needs to be super intense, or you should be working out harder. Any of that is self-sabotage, right? So just say, I'm going to feel better as soon as I start working out. I'm just going to focus on getting the first set done. Then I'm going to do the next one set at a time, 1 rep at a time. Cliche, I get it, but it is true, right? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. And of course, that is a metaphor. I'm not suggesting anybody should eat elephant. I don't know if people eat elephants, to be honest with you, if that's what they do in Asia where their elephants are prevalent. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea about that topic. I am just using an example, my people. But you get the point. Elephants are huge. You can't eat them in a few bites. And anything else in life that is complicated, huge, overwhelming, take bites. Break it down. So get a workout in, put those calories to work. As you move through that workout, you're going to feel better and better. You'll have more resources available to get more from your workout so that your metabolism will turn up and your recovery will turn up after the workout so that you'll burn even more calories and minimize the damage. Got it? All right, good. Number 3, extend a fast 16 to 24 hours from the meal of which you overate. So if you're already doing intermittent fasting, this is easy for you. If you're someone who is not doing intermittent fasting, I can guarantee you, if you overate, right? Let's say Sunday night, you overate, Monday morning rolls around and you're getting hungry. It is not because you need calories. It's not because you are in fact hungry. It is a behavioral part of your brain is just used to, it's a pattern. Your brain is used to eating. And so it's giving you symptoms of eating. And so don't eat, just fast right in the morning. I'm not saying don't eat again and not saying make yourself suffer and starve yourself. I am not saying that. I'm saying use a tactic called intermittent fasting, which is no food for 16 to 24 hours after the meal. Because again, your body does not need that energy. It's just going to store. I can guarantee you that. Just imagine a typical overeating indulgence is anywhere from like, I would imagine 500 to 3,000, 4,000 calories in one meal, right? Most often, it's going to be somewhere in the middle, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 calories in a typical meal of which we'll overeat. There's no way in hell your body's going to run through that and be depleted by the morning. It's just not. So if you can go in logically knowing that your body doesn't need calories, when you feel hungry that next day, remind yourself of that and focus on your water intake. Because oftentimes when we are overeating, we tend to not drink as much water when we are dehydrated or are not hydrated. If you want to look at it, dehydrated has this sort of underlying seriousness to it, as if like dehydration means, you're in serious medical condition. Like that is certainly a level of dehydration, but much of our population is walking around dehydrated, meaning you're not getting enough hydration to support your system. Remember, your body is 60% water, if not more. When you are eating a lot of calories, something has to break that down, right? Your digestion, your elimination, your metabolism, your lymphatic system, all of these systems require water. Obviously, when your stomach's full, you're not going to crave water, right? And I'm not saying to jam water down your throat. However, focus on drinking water. And if you're having a hard time drinking water, drink herbal tea or hot water. That can count as water. Coffee does not count as water. Juice does not count as water. Club soda does not count as water. Water is water, or water with herbal tea. That will help you realize that those are not true hunger symptoms the morning after overeating when you feel hungry by drinking more water. Also, you can do shakes, protein shake, green shake, bone broth, something of that sort. But to the extent you extend your fast, you will minimize the damage done from the meal and burn off some of those calories that would otherwise be stored as fat if you start eating right away. Which, by the way, the other thing you got to think about, forget about just like aesthetic element of either gaining or not gaining the weight from the extra calories. The fact that there are that many extra calories, like your liver and your kidney and your organs, like they need a break. It's a lot. We don't think about that, but when you're consuming a ton of food at once, that's a lot for your body to deal with. And it's going to take time for it to deal with it. So, and then after, give it some time to sort of heal and rest. It's one of the most underrated side effects, or I should say benefits of intermittent fasting or fasting in general, is resting your internal organs. Super important for a lot of reasons, not just, again, burning the extra calories. So give that some thought as well. All right, next one is for the rest of the day. When you do break your fast, break it with protein and vegetables. Keep fats, carbs, and sugars down. Your body does not need carbohydrates after overeating a big meal. You simply don't. Carbohydrates primarily are for energy. You have a ton of energy from the extra calories, so cut that out. Fats, I also wouldn't recommend. Why? Well, fats are slower digesting. Fats are a really dense source of energy, dense source of calories. Again, if you are overeating, it's likely that whatever you overate already had a lot of fat, already had a lot of carbs, maybe has a lot of sugar as well. So keep the fat, keep the carbs down, because your body just doesn't need it after overeating. Focus just on proteins, just on vegetables. Also keep sugar down. Sometimes overeating includes sugar. However, I recommend staying away from added sugar most of the, like 99% of the time anyway. But certainly whenever you have a lot of extra calories in your stomach, sugar is only going to cause more of the same issue. So stay away from that. All right. The last one. Now, this is something that can be done immediately after the meal if that is available to you, or it could be something that you can do the next day, right? After your workout or later in that day. Typically, when you do overeat, and especially if your metabolism is slower, if somebody who has a slower metabolic rate, it's going to take a long time for those calories to move through your system. So the whole day, even if you do working out is going to accelerate things. It's going to force your body to attack those calories. However, going for a nice long walk, if you ever overeat and have the ability to just go for a walk, that will make a world of difference. Simply standing up, gravity will help, right? But the fact that you're walking just allows things to move a little bit more, right? It doesn't allow them just to sort of like get all jammed up in your liver and your kidneys and your organs and all that. So go for a nice long walk immediately after or the next day. Even if it's 10-minute walk, I don't care. Do what you can. If you can't walk, do the bike. If you can't do the bike, do something seated. But you want to make sure that you're getting in some movement to the extent you can move. And if you're someone who currently has a significant joint issue that precludes you from walking, well, that's okay. Instead, just do some movement with your arms when you're seated, right? The foot pedal is a really good piece of equipment for a lot of people who can't put pressure or weight on their joints to be able to do and get some movement in. So consider those options. So 5 tips, there you have it. What to do when you overeat. Trust me, if you can follow those tips, you will find yourself changing in so many ways beyond just your waistline. A lot of this stuff is not about the X's and O's. It's not about like weight loss. I will say it once and I will say it over and over again. Weight loss. And I put weight loss as, I don't focus on weight. I feel the need to justify this statement. I don't focus on weight because I think it's a horrible way to track progress because it doesn't reflect progress. Water retention, hormone fluctuation, muscle. There's so many things that go into weight that you just don't know what is contributing to what. So to look at weight as a metric of progress or not progress is not a good idea. It's just going to set yourself up for frustration. And if someone who loves to be frustrated, then go ahead and weigh yourself every day. But if you're a rational person, stay away from the scale. If you're having trouble with that, have someone in your house, hide it. Trust me, you'll do yourself a massive favor. But my point is, I talk about weight loss because that is just the term everybody uses. But that can mean fat loss, that can mean healthy, that can mean getting lean, whatever the definition means to you, that's what you can focus on. The point is, weight loss is not logical. It's not simply avoiding overeating and eating better and working out more. Like, obviously, those things help, but that's not the reasons why. Because again, going back to what we first talked about, overeating is just an event that happened. And then it's what you do after that. And if your mind tells you, oh, you're too tired to move. Well, you're too tired to move because you have a bunch of food in your damn stomach, right? It ain't gonna just move through itself fast. You gotta put it to work, right? Through fasting, through movement. But it's just really the only thing that's holding you back is the mind. Is what you're telling yourself. Oh, I am too tired. Oh, I'm fat. I'm full of shame. I have no discipline. Oh, here I go again. Every time I have a goal, I derail myself. Blah, 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 blah. Get over it. Get on these 5 tips. You'll be happy you did. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to That Was Yesterday with me, Joe Carabase. And remember, every step forward is progress. We'll catch you next time. And in the meantime, if you found any value from this episode, please share with friends and go ahead and give us a 5-star review. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon.